Hey guys, it's Logan here with Hydra 572. Today I got a knife to review for you, and it's going to take me a minute just to let you know the name of this thing. I do think that you guys should buy this in either Blade Play or Blade HQ. It's the only place I've seen them reliably converted to automatics, and so I'm going to talk about the terminology used by Blade HQ and Blade Play to sell these things. On their website, this is the Boker Kalashnikov Auto, not the Boker 74, which is weird because it says Automatic Kalashnikov 74 on the blade. But hey, what do you know? If you want this specific model, look up Boker Kalashnikov Auto. They have very similar models called the Boker 74, something like that. If you look into it, you'll figure it out pretty quick. The version with the double hollow is the version that I'm talking about. The one with the flat grind is different, but similar enough that I'd imagine most of the things I'm saying in this review apply to it as well. With that, before I get into the review, I want to talk just for a second about autos. This is an automatic knife, as you can see. I might make a philosophy video about carrying autos, stuff like that soon. Just to wrap it up really quick before this, do I think you should buy autos? Yes. Do I think you should carry autos? Not necessarily, and definitely not antagonistically. But I think if you carry responsibly, if you don't do anything you're not supposed to be doing with your knife, you won't have a problem. Without further ado, let's get into this knife, starting at the tip. It's fine. It's definitely not exceptionally sharp, especially for how acute of a point it is in this dagger spear point design. Definitely could have stood to be sharper, but that would have been expensive. Everything like that, the cost adds up. Belly, I think we got enough here. Definitely enough on this spear point design for a light EDC type purpose. Blade profile, I like it. You know, I'm definitely not a huge fan of dagger spear points, but in this design here, I think it can work pretty well. I think it looks pretty nice, and I think the performance is fine. Grind, double hollow, but you know, they've got a version with a flat grind now, so I guess I shouldn't be complaining. The steel is AUS 8, and I'm not going to lie, the retention is pretty dang good on this knife. It impressed me. I was pretty thoroughly impressed with a $40 knife with retention like this. Sharpening, not a problem, despite one little point on the blade, which we will talk about later down in presentation. The deployment, well, we got this button lock here. You do have to depress the button pretty deep for it to fire. This isn't a problem for me. I got used to it and learned to do it pretty quick. Only a couple firings, and I was doing it spot on every time, and that means that it won't go off banging around in your pocket. You know, it takes a pretty deep depressment for that to fire off. Lock, well, as we just said, button lock. The automatic, definitely not an ideal locking system, but for a auto knife, it's basically what you've got. So there's that. You know, I am reviewing this specifically as an auto, so button lock is not a problem. It's to be expected. Got play, well, with a button lock, that is to be expected. Got up and down, side to side play on this knife. Definitely not a problem. Not enough, anywhere near enough to be a problem. I'm not scared that the lockup will fail or anything. The handle, guys, this is a clinic on how to produce a good handle out of coated aluminum. I really do love it. You've got molded in texturing here on the aluminum. You've got these molded in bars. You've got 4 deep finger choils. It is just a great handle, and the coating is awesome. It wears with some character. The ergos, they're great. We have jimping on the bottom, some molded in jimping here on the back of the knife. I've got the 4 choils. Like I said, it's a very comfortable handle. I'm in love with the thing. Jimping, we got some pretty dull jimping molded into the back here, but honestly, it doesn't need to be aggressive because look at the ergos. That knife's not coming out of your hands. Could it stand to be a little more aggressive right up here by the edge of the blade? Sure. Down here, that's pretty perfect. That jimping for pulling the knife out of your pocket. Have a lanyard hole? Yep, it's a little bit skinny. Could stand to be a little bigger, but that's a small nitpicky complaint. Presentation. I have one complaint with the presentation of this knife. That is, when you are closing the knife, you depress the button, start pushing the blade back in with your other hand, and if your thumb is off the button, then once you get it into the closed position, button lock will spring up, stop the knife, in the back, sort of like a stop pin, and the knife will not go back any further. But if you close the knife like I just sort of instinctively did after getting the thing, and push until it stops, well, what stops it is one of the barrel spacers in back, blade hits on it. Hopefully you guys can hear that. I don't know how to show you, but take my word for it. So that creates a dead spot on the blade that is not sharp, and I honestly thought that I was screwing up the sharpening. I was pretty obsessive sharpening this thing when I got my first one. As I've said hopefully you guys know, I have two of these things. I have a video on why that is. It is my unboxing video of this one. I broke the first one. Wasn't that one's fault. I abused the hell out of it, and I can tell you this knife is very durable. Also, go check that video out. Presentation talking about sharpness. It did come very sharp. You'll see that in the unboxing video. So other than that, which might be considered a pretty big flaw by some people, definitely in a $40 knife, I think you're going to expect to see stuff like that. It's not a problem, just be aware. Close the knife by pressing the button in once, taking your thumb off, pushing until the button lock pops up. Screws, well, we've got Torx screws, which I love. Got a cool pivot screw here. We do have barrel spacers, which the screws are threaded on both sides, so they can be sort of a bitch to take apart. Which I'm only mentioning because I had to take this specific knife apart. I've reviewed other knives with barrel spacers and not given them any trouble over it. But yeah, it was sort of a bitch to take apart, but you shouldn't have to take yours apart anyway. Don't be crazy abusive with yours, and it will last you a long time. The clip is a little obnoxious with the peaks of these divots coming up a little bit too high for me. I wish they were just a little bit lower. But it is a ridiculous carry clip with a good traction plan for getting the knife out of your pocket, so I can't be too mad at it. Just wish that was a little bit smoother in there. I think it would have been fine if it was. Yeah, it is a little bit obnoxious in some grip positions in your hand. It is one position. I wish we could have two position. There's no way that we were getting the There's no way that we were getting tip down carry, but I wish we could have the other tip up on the other side. But again, it's not a deal breaker for me. I am right-handed. If you are left-handed, sorry, you can take the clip off if you want. I've taken the clip off the other one. Usage, partially novelty. I think people are going to get some enjoyment out of just having a high-quality auto around. And this definitely isn't a ridiculously high-quality auto, but it's high enough quality that it's not going to break. It's got a decent steel. And I definitely think you can put it into the light EDC usage. Don't think it'll give you any problems. I would be tentative to have this be too much of a work knife, cutting a lot of cardboard. I would just want a different knife with a more conventional lock. That's just me. I don't think it would give you any trouble. The overview, well, it's a nice, cheap stiletto switchblade that I think a lot of people are going to get enjoyment out of playing with. Really interesting to me that the handle is such a clinic the way it is on such a cheap knife. And the pass-fail, well, I'm giving this one a pass. Move on down to our stats corner. Got a blade length of 3.35 inches, handle length 4.25 inches, overall length 7.6 inches, blade thickness 3 millimeters. This flat section here as measured by me with a ruler, so no guarantees there. Weight 3.6 ounces. Price on Blade HQ $39.95. They put them on sale pretty often. eBay, no price. Really, Blade HQ, Blade Play is the place to buy these guys. Hope you have enjoyed this review. Boker Plus Automat Kalashnikov 74 automatic knife, Hydra 572 review. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more of the same.